Well, the last thing I'll bring up about this, because I did see one of the text messages that he revealed in his new lawsuit, and it's from the Taylor Swift meeting or whatever. Um, it appears that there were multiple incidents where Baldoni was at the penthouse with Blake Lively, and they seem to have had a very close relationship.
It's the Pop Report. So juicy.
Bienvenidos a Spotify.
We're back.
You don't even know what that means.
Nope. I just know we're at Spotify.
that means welcome to Spotify for Duolingo girls. The girls who have joined Duolingo to learn about Mandarin because of Red Note. Welcome. You may get me. You don't. But how are you?
Good. Have you heard of the new TikTok app?
Which one, Lemonade or Red Note?
Nobody does Lemonade. Red Note.
Lemon-8.
Oh, Lemon-8. I was like, Lemonade, like my renter's insurance?
Like the Beyonce album?
Yeah, apparently people are like all about it.
Yeah,
I'm not downloading another app, especially if it's not in English. I'm not doing that.
You're not that girl.
No.
You're built different.
I'm just gonna... Do you really think TikTok is gonna be banned? We're like days away. We have the inauguration of the TikTok ban all coming up.
So here's the thing. I've had to report on this, and what basically it comes down to is if the Supreme Court makes a law ruling by the date that is stated for the closure, then there's nothing an administration can do about it.
Mm-hmm.
However, if the administration comes in before that January 19th date, that can be fine. It's going to get an extension. But if the Supreme Court does rule, look, like it's happening because of law, there's no way someone can save it right now. So we are really waiting on if an administration or if the Supreme Court, which one does it first necessarily. But I think everyone is knowing to this decision that we need more time. Like it's probably gonna be another 270 days before there's like another hearing of sorts of who's gonna be owning TikTok. Probably an extension. It's like a homework assignment. Well, you get an extension.
Yeah, well, Trump's fighting for an extension, right? Like he wants to...
Biden's also doing the same thing. They're both like extend it.
What is Biden doing these days?
He just signed in like the Hamas, ceasefire.
Oh. Did he send any more money to the Ukraine?
No.
Well, that's a start.
Well, look at you, girl. Well, obviously, if you like the Pop Report, you should subscribe. And what else should I do, Zach?
Like, comment, do all the things, leave us ratings and reviews. We love all the ratings, we love all the reviews and the support. But I mean, most importantly, subscribe. That way you always get the content fresh in your inbox.
Speaking of fresh, I feel like today is just legal. I feel like that Patrick Star phrase where he's like legal, but like legal.
We have a lot of legal stories, a lot of legal news in the world today.
3 big stories today.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Baldoni suing Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds.
Mm-hmm.
Drake suing UMG, which wild time. And then Wendy Williams really just talking about her legal situation for the first time. We're hearing from her. So those are our big 3, all 3 as of this morning when we've recorded this.
Yeah.
Break. And
I know, I was trying to consume as much of it as I could. I was like, there's so much information to read and listen to and process.
I feel like I'm on a pop quiz where the teacher's like, assignment, get ready, you have 20 minutes to study. And I'm like, fuck me. It's a lot of information. But I
never did pop quizzes. I just failed them. I was like, well, you threw a surprise on me, so it ain't my fault.
So surprise, bitch, I failed, But you've been our lovely Justin and Blake correspondent, it seems like, over the last while. You've been making tons of little videos and tons of little recaps. So I think when it comes to this, I'm going to let you lead. But we have a new development.
Mm-hmm.
And first and foremost, I want to ask you, did you expect Justin Baldoni to issue a lawsuit to both Ryan and Blake?
Yeah, he's been hinting at this. And so the other day, they sent a demand letter to Disney and to Marvel because of the Nice Pool character that is believed to be a parody of Justin Baldoni. Nice Pool with the man bun and the feminist and the podcast that, capitalizes off of the women's movement and all that stuff. So they were already starting to dig into Ryan Reynolds. And so I wasn't expecting the lawsuit to come as quickly as it did because we just got wind of the demand letter that was sent to Disney. But the fact that he's already got this lawsuit together and he's suing Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, Stephanie Jones, and Jones Work PR. So Stephanie Jones is the publicist, and her company is Jones Work PR. They're the ones that were initially hired as PR for It Ends With Us. And I believe they were also the ones that were initially part of what Blake is claiming, the alleged smear campaign. Like, they were the publicity representation, and then Stephanie Jones has come out and said, oh, actually, that was something that they were doing. They went rogue. Jennifer Abel, who's Baldoni's publicist, went rogue, and I didn't know anything about this smear campaign, but they were doing this at my company behind my back. She has since parted ways with them. I think she's filed her own lawsuit, but nobody gives a shit about her. And so they have named her in their lawsuit. So there are 4 people. So it's Blake, Ryan, Jones Work PR, and Stephanie Jones.
What about Leslie Sloan?
Oh, is she named in this?
I think she's the one that's named in it.
Stephanie's also named in it, but I believe you're probably right. Leslie Stone is also named in it as well. I forgot about her. Well, yeah,
so many people, so many things. It doesn't end with us.
But so it's a defamation case. He's also suing for extortion and breach of contract.
Do you think the amount of $400 million makes sense for someone in the case of Justin Baldoni getting that money in this new lawsuit?
It's a really big amount. Well, here's the thing, though. When you go into lawsuits, so many people are fixated on the number. I wasn't surprised by that, because when you go into these lawsuits, you usually throw out an astronomical number
and then
you're not going to get, and then you fall somewhere in the middle, whether it's through settling or it's through, you go to trial and they award you compensation that's not nearly as high as what you're asking for, but they give you something. And so I don't anticipate that he gets 400 or more, but I'm sure, should they settle or should they go to trial, it seems like he really wants to go to trial because he wants all these details to come out. He released new text messages in it. He name drops Taylor Swift in it because she...
Why the Taylor Swift mention? Some people see it and they're like, okay, I need to read more, but like, what specifically is the Taylor Swift mention in here?
It's not a whole lot of Taylor, other than there was a meeting, so it looks like, and I haven't read through the full 127-page lawsuit yet. I will do it tonight. I haven't had a chance to read through it, so I've just been getting the recaps, or I skimmed through it as best as I could. But so it appears they were having multiple meetings at the penthouse that Ryan and Blake have. So we know of the infamous all hands on deck meeting where Baldoni was berated allegedly by Ryan Reynolds, and they claimed that they had celebrities walking in and out of the penthouse.
Oh, they were walking. I didn't remember that part.
Yeah, apparently there were other high profile celebrities that were around during this meeting and were coming and going.
Love.
And so it appears that maybe that one of those celebrities may have been Taylor Swift, because there was a separate incident where I guess Blake was making some revisions to the rooftop scene, and she had both Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift come in and basically tell Justin Baldoni why these edits were so great and why they believe in Blake and why they like her rewrites. And so he claims that Blake was doing that in an attempt to get high-profile celebrities, saying that Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift are 2 of the most powerful celebrities in the world. It's a little egregious for Ryan Reynolds, but Taylor Swift, I understand. But saying that she used them to flex her influence to pressure him into doing things on the set that he maybe would have not normally done, but because she was pressuring him, that's why he
strong arm,
buckled. Yeah. And so that's how Taylor Swift comes into it. I mean, but Taylor Swift had to have had some sort of large role in the film, because we've heard, we're hearing that she was involved, or at least present for these meetings, and then we also know her song was the anthem for the movie, so I would imagine Taylor Swift will probably get brought into this a bit more.
It's just strange when you look at like the mention of Taylor. Obviously we've had mentions of Ryan Reynolds, but like when people say they've had a hand in something, there's a big thing with like the PGA when it comes to accrediting. And so like obviously when Blake has mentioned, Ryan helped with these scenes, it's like that really messes up the credits of like who is attributed to the film, and he's not necessarily on that team, so it shouldn't have happened. But like now this whole Taylor twist is like, okay, how many people had a hand in with this? So it really convolutes everything.
I don't see any legal repercussions for Taylor. I imagine the only reason he's naming her is for the PR benefits. Very similar to like the Girardi case, right? That's why Erica Jane was dragged into every one of Tom's lawsuits, not because they believed she had any of the money or was culpable in any of his crimes, but so that the press had a name to latch on to.
It's Erica Jane.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so in this case, and listen, that's what a lot of attorneys will do to bring, more press attention to the lawsuit, to get the public involved and to get the public to
we
weigh in
know.
on
We know
things.
that.
And so it appears they're just using Taylor Swift as the name to garner more attention. But what I find interesting is that Taylor Swift, even though a lot of people came out in defense of Blake Lively, Taylor Swift has
She's been
noticeably
Yeah.
silent, like completely just nothing to say, no support to throw Blake's way. I would imagine maybe it's because she knows if she says something, she may get drawn in legally, given that she was very much involved, or at least involved more than any other standard friend on the set of a film.
And here's the thing too, Taylor's reputation has literally like a 50-50 at times. So there's people who are like, I've had enough. I'm glad to see her.
Yeah.
You may, if you push that needle too much, that haterade can really spill from one side of the table to the other.
Yeah.
So with this, it's like everyone is on this, like, do not touch anybody of this involvement. So I think probably her team or anyone else is probably advising her, do what you got to do, keep on going on. You were not directly involved. You were
Yeah.
a passerby.
Yeah.
So maybe that is the case.
Probably. I don't think Taylor Swift had like an active, I don't think she was actively trying to push her influence over Baldoni. I think she knew like her role was to be supportive of her friend Blake, and she knows that when she walks into a room, there's power that comes with that. And I think she was just doing it to
And-
support Blake.
Taylor's songs have been used for, I think, a couple Colleen Hoover. No, I'm having a minute, but she's lent her songs to a bunch of different films.
Yeah.
So like with this, obviously it's Blake's first big like EP. So I think number one, like you said, it is a very, very good grab to like get someone as a celebrity status to help get your narrative across. Number two, Taylor probably was actively around Blake in some extent to this movie. If her song is in use, it's where is that song being used? What are the rights necessarily to it?
Did Taylor even promote the film? She
No.
wasn't at the premiere.
No.
Hugh Jackman was at the premiere. They got Hugh Jackman to come in and help them promote it.
Also
Are Blake
strange.
and Taylor on the outs?
No one. Here's the part with the Hugh Jackman thing. So that was strange. I think if we're going in this timeline, we go back to Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
So, or what Deadpool movie was it?
Deadpool and Wolverine.
I've checked out of Marvel way since long ago. The thing is, the Hugh Jackman intermingling, whatever you want to call it, was just so strange.
Yeah.
Why is Hugh Jackman in this? Obviously, you have Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman in a movie around the same timeline. But we go back to like all these characters, who's intertwined, and maybe Hugh Jackman gets involved now because of this scene where Ryan Reynolds is discussing nice pool characteristics and qualities, or just like overall, like there had to be a discussion of, we want to do this bit.
Mm-hmm.
Someone on that set. And that's why the other update that happened was the Marvel Disney, like subpoena. So I want to break down, because I've seen so many clips of people being like, this Justin Baldoni nice pool accusation is not there. It's baseless. I don't think everyone's playing the full clip. Let's break down
Yeah.
how many pieces are actually
Yeah.
most likely too coincidentally close to Justin Baldoni. First up, there is a man bun. Justin Baldoni used to have a man bun. Had to be a conversation about all these things, again, as we're about to say. Number two, we have someone who has a podcast. Okay, we're at two really close coincidences.
Podcast that he claims is to ride the coattails of the women's movement.
Feminist.
Feminist is another one. Yep.
So we look through this and we're like, okay, you can play that, put it with anybody. But you have other jokes that are in there. We're only on 3 where you can make close accusations of, oh, Lady Pool dropped a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Number 4, like the accusations of Justin Baldoni not being able to carry Blake Lively because of her weight. You can put that like kind of close, and that one's a little dicey.
Yeah. Well, so it was the man bun, and then it was he said that Lady Pool had dropped her weight very quickly after having a baby.
Correct.
Which gets to the fat shaming, and because
Right.
Blake Lively was on the set of It Ends With Us, and she had just had a baby, and he obviously asked about her weight, and so that was a big thing.
So we're at 4. What am I missing before I get to the kill?
The intimacy coordinator.
Asking for the intimacy coordinator.
Yeah.
Where is the intimacy coordinator? Obviously, the It Ends With Us intimacy coordinator was not chosen by Blake. She did not meet with the intimacy coordinator until filming, which is not a standard protocol. It happens, but 5 very close things, and you have to scratch your head a little bit. We also get to the kill of Lady Pool killing Nice Pool, number 6, in front of a flower shop.
Mm-hmm.
And It Ends With Us circles around a flower shop. And so, like, I could maybe have a little benefit of the doubt being like, there's 1 or 2 similarities.
Yeah.
That's 6. Am I missing something?
6 back to back. No, I mean, it's pretty
Podcast,
obvious.
man bun.
Because
Like,
when it was just man bun or it was just feminist, like people are like, well, that's a bit of a stretch. But then you put all of the pieces together because people were looking at just like that one scene where he talked about a podcast. And people were like, podcast, man bun, women's movement.
Mhm.
Okay, because Justin Baldoni's whole brand is he's a feminist and he has the Man Enough book and the Man Enough podcast about dismantling toxic masculinity. So when you put all of the things together, though, the intimacy coordinator to me was the biggest one.
oh, I thought the flower shop kill was kind of like on the nose.
The flower shop really took some internet sleuths, though, because they really had to like zoom into the background of where the scene happened. It wasn't obvious that it was in front of a flower shop, but when people like took screenshots and then zoomed in to what was behind him, they saw that it was a flower shop.
But you go ahead.
No,
hit
I was
it.
going to say, like, we would never be analyzing this scene, and we wouldn't even be thinking that Ryan Reynolds is a troll had they not decided to take this legal action publicly. Like, we would have, like, this
We
would
would've
have
forgotten
fallen on
about it.
dead ears. We would have, like, moved on from Blake Lively. We would have just thought they were more rumors of her being a diva in Hollywood, but, like, we would have never started analyzing every little thing the way everybody's doing now.
And the thing is, you had to probably, most likely, have a conversation with a group of people on set saying, we'd like to film this scene in this nature. And whether it was just a bit and they're just going to riff off like impromptu, or it was, let's put this in the script, there had to be a conversation about that. How does Lady Pool kill Nice Pool? Where is it at? Where is the set dressing? How does it happen? The delivery of these lines, like, can we actually make a comment about an intimacy coordinator?
Yeah.
So, like, there had to be a whole discussion about this.
Yeah.
Maybe Hugh Jackman might have been in the notes of it. So, like, maybe that's why he also got involved with It Ends With Us.
Yeah.
And so you can tie a lot of these people and personalities together, but whoever knows or knew about that scene, we might hear from people on production at some point. Still waiting to hear from people on production.
Well, he released text messages with people in production that seemed to align with him.
Yeah.
Like, that she was really difficult to work with and she was hijacking the film and she was blocking him from seeing any of the edits and she was hiring new editors and, she was definitely not very well liked amongst a lot of people on the set.
No, and I've seen things from stylists and other people who work on sets being like, here's what we are used to that is just a crazy demand. You're doing fittings at their place. You have to meet them somewhere. They don't like how it's an 1/8 of an inch of a difference for a sleeve. These are things that, like, again, stylists have said, this is a beautiful, beautiful person. It's sad they see this way about themselves, but we're going to fit their needs. The things they said about Blake's behavior as a stylist in this is not uncommon.
Yeah.
But the editors is like, that is not something that is common whatsoever and is very uncalled for. To hire your own editors and to not give someone the liberty to look at the cut and give notes. And yeah, again, like, it's just, it doesn't end with us. It grab your girls, grab your florals, because we're going to dissect It Ends With Us for another year.
If, like, I don't know what she was hoping to, I mean, I imagine she was hoping to bury Baldoni in all of this, but it just completely backfired. And I don't know what Blake's going to do now.
And that's probably why Justin is also asking for this $400 million amount.
Yeah.
He's ready to go into this saying, look, I'm probably not going to get work for a long time.
Yeah.
So for me to be set up, I need to make sure my bank accounts are taken care of, my
Well,
emotional distress is taken care of, and more.
I think a lot of it also has to go into the loss that he's going to take from the sequel, because the first movie.
There was a sequel?
Well, no, there was supposed to be a sequel. He has the rights to It Ends With Us and It Starts With Us. And so
That's right.
he's gonna there's not gonna be an It Starts With Us. And at this point, like he's taken such a loss, and It Ends With Us got what, over 200 million at the box office. So I'm imagining projecting the loss of It Starts With Us on top of all the other jobs that he's losing as well.
Who knows how many bitches and hoes have streamed It Ends With Us on Netflix, because I tried and I honestly logged out. I was doing a lot.
Well, that's
at the
because you
time.
got Blake's edit.
Did you get Justin's edit?
No, I want Justin's edit. Give us Justin's edit.
At the end of the day, too, we obviously have our opinions about things. We're dissecting this as like a legal perspective, and there are certain things that have been brought up from like both sides of head scratchers, like, was this right, was this wrong? At the end of the day, both parties can be a victim. You cannot also not like a victim.
Yeah.
So like whoever at this point you are seeing as like the victim, it is in this ever-changing tide of like, one day you're like, oh, this makes more sense for Blake's narrative. Then you're back to, oh, this makes more sense for Justin's
I don't think
narrative.
anything. The more I read and the more we get into the details of it, the less and less I think that there was any real harassment that happened with her on set. Just because the claims that she's making and his counter arguments that he brings with, like, here's a text message from Blake, here's a photo of what she was referring to, like her saying that the producer Jamie Heath was showing her pornographic images of his wife, and then they're like, this is the photo, and it's literally his wife in a tub doing a home birth and the baby's in her arms, and you're like, there's nothing pornographic about this. That for her to use that term in her complaint is just it. You see one thing, and then the intimacy coordinator, and there's the text messages where he's notifying her that there is an intimacy coordinator, but her claim is that there was no intimacy coordinator until she demanded one. And so a lot of, when you have a list of 29 things and already 3 of them are like blatant flat out lies that are being disproven by real evidence, then it ultimately ends up diminishing the argument altogether.
Yeah, even the other claims of, coming into Blake's trailer while she's undressed and the text says, come in my trailer, I'm just pumping. Are you sure? Yeah. Like,
which he also, in this new lawsuit, declines that he ever entered her dressing room while she was breastfeeding or pumping. He said, like, yes, she did invite him during that, but he's never entered her dressing room while she was ever doing either of those. But they did claim that she was openly breastfeeding on set. So the argument could be made, too, if she's openly breastfeeding on set around multiple people, then who's to assume that when she, is breastfeeding in her dressing room and she invites you to come in, that there's going to be a different, circumstance.
Girl, you're right. And it's just, I know a lot of people are like, whatever the outcome is, it will be truly disappointing if, in the end, a lot of these are proven to be extorted from what the actual situation was in Blake Lively's claims that it is sexual harassment when it wasn't, or anything of like provocative nature and it wasn't. That would be a very, very sad result.
Well, because people also have to understand that, like, harassment isn't just a feeling or a level of discomfort. Like, there's a legal definition for harassment that you need to prove in court in order for it to be legitimate, right? Like, me feeling uncomfortable or me being a little bothered or weirded out or creeped out by you, that's not necessarily harassment. You have to prove that somebody was repeatedly intentionally trying to, do something that was, and then you also have to understand the power dynamic. And the more we learned about the power dynamic on this set, Blake Lively had a lot more power than Justin Baldoni did. So usually when there is a situation of sexual harassment, it's the one with the upper hand that's taking advantage of somebody that's lower on the totem pole, that they're able to kind of, flex their influence over.
It's so interesting, just to put a little pin in it, because I'm sure we'll get another update one day, that Justin Baldoni was the one that got the rights for this and started it, and it did not end with us because it's still going.
Yeah.
But we still have Colleen Hoover
Yeah.
who, and a lot of other cast members who I've kind of stayed silent now, or they're probably
they
waiting.
stop speaking out
They
now.
kind of are waiting to be maybe subpoenaed at some point. With those who have sided with either one, but everyone is just hush.
Yeah.
Like, it has gone very quiet.
Well, the last thing I'll bring up about this, because I did see one of the text messages that he revealed in his new lawsuit, and it appeared, and it's from the Taylor Swift meeting or whatever. It appears that there were multiple incidents where Baldoni was at the penthouse with Blake Lively, and they seem to have had a very close relationship, because the argument that they're making is, look at these text messages between Blake and Baldoni, and they have a very friendly, I would argue almost flirty relationship. Based off of what I read in that and the text message. It appeared that because their point is like, look at these text messages between Blake and Baldoni, and this is after her claims of alleged harassment. Why would she be engaging with him in this manner if she really felt so uncomfortable around him? Because he was still in her apartment, and she would have him pose and take photos with her baby. And it was just interesting when I was reading the text message. I was like, this feels... And
That's weird.
And I do
I
have...
will say that's
And my
weird.
theory was, is it possible that maybe there were feelings that got caught on one end or both sides? Like, maybe... And that's why Ryan Reynolds got so involved, is because he, was sensing something. Like, there's... I feel like there has to be a layer that's deeper.
Something's missing.
Something's missing. We're not getting a full picture, especially like how hard Ryan Reynolds leaned into this, and he's rewriting scenes, and he's inserting himself so heavily into the movie. And then berating Baldoni in front of the executives. Like, it's just, I don't know.
It's just like, what if all the claims from Blake are disputed? What is the incident that caused the script to be flipped? Really, we are yet to know.
Yeah.
Put a pin on that,
We'll
girl.
have to wait and see.
Well, welcome back to a legal analysis of the Pop Report. It does not end with us. Thank you also, Spotify, for hosting us today.
Yes,
we like
thanks,
coming in
Spotify.
here. It's fun. It's cute, and changes it up, because sometimes girls are wanting to get around
Yeah.
and come to Spotify. So, other news.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1, subscribe. Number 2, another legal update. Drake is suing UMG. Weird. So, you probably know jack shit about this. Love you, but you probably know jack shit about this. There is a new lawsuit that was filed also, as we learned as we were recording this. Basically, Drake is going after Universal Music Group, his own record label, stating that the record label that pushed, both him and Kendrick Lamar, he's claiming that the record label really pushed a single that is defamatory and has false accusations, the Not Like Us single diss track that is against Drake. So you might have missed a lot of stuff, because this was the end of last year, and we've gone through so much since the end of last year. We've had lawsuits after lawsuits, but the lawsuit was filed in New York City, and it says the parent record label for Drake and Lamar published and promoted the track, even though it included false pedophilia allegations against Drake, and suggested listeners should resort to vigilante justice. The thing is, though, Lamar is not named in this suit whatsoever. So I want to give you this, backstory of, the timeline.
Okay.
Are you buckled up?
I'm ready.
Buckle up, trucker fucker, whatever they say. So this timeline, thanks to Billboard, is pretty extensive, and I'll give you the Spark Notes version. So you remember the single Not Like Us came out.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a diss track, massive popularity. Obviously, Kendrick Lamar is about to perform at the Super Bowl. So the timelines for this is pretty interesting. So looking at things in the course of almost a month and a half, I'm only bringing this up because Drake's team tried to sue everybody and anybody. It used to be going after Spotify. It was going after UMG. It was going after, Kendrick Lamar. So on November 25th, Drake accused UMG and Spotify, hey, we're here, of artificially inflating Kendrick's streams. So Drake actually got his lawyers involved in the conflict before Thanksgiving, like literally right before it. He filed this, to which he was basically saying, look, the Not Like Us single is being boosted, or it has a payola, some sort of like payout to deceive consumers the song was more popular than it actually was. So this was the first thing we got about this. And you obviously think that like when someone has a diss track, we don't really get too many lawsuits. It's like diss, go on. Like who started the diss track? Who ends the diss track? Who's going to get hurt and all this? So
Yeah.
he said he'd tried to resolve this with his music label, which like that's what you do. You have a team, right? You have a team who's going to resolve it for you. But the company said they had no interest in taking responsibility for it. The face you have. So they had even gone as far as firing employees perceived as having loyalty to Drake.
What?
Yeah. So this is again a month and a half.
Again, these are allegations.
These are allegations.
In a lawsuit. You can claim anything. Just because you claim them in a lawsuit does not make them fact.
Thank you.
But that is wild.
So that same day, UMG responded to Drake's filing. In a statement, UMG said, "This suggestion that UMG would do anything to undermine any of its artists is offensive and untrue. We employ the highest ethical practices in our marketing and promotional campaigns. No amount of contrived and absurd legal arguments in this pre-action submission can mask the fact that fans chose the music they want to hear." So they basically said,
the fans have spoken.
They said, girl, sit down. So the next day,
sit down.
He has a second filing. And it's just like, we're on the holiday. So 26, he puts another filing. He turned to a Texas court this time instead of a New York court. So he claimed defamation, claiming the corporation had wrongfully allowed for the release of the song, falsely accusing him as a sex offender in the song, if you remember the lyrics.
Yep.
And so his legal team also named iHeart and UMG's co-conspirators to a pay-to-play scheme to promote this on the airwaves.
That's going to be interesting to prove. I mean, I would imagine it's going to come with a lot of subpoenas and I don't know. I don't envision this going all the way.
Yeah, so it didn't look like it got very far. So then nearly a month later on December 20th, Spotify, hey girl on the wall, nearly a month after it came up, the streaming service hit back with their official response, like saying they filed in a Manhattan court calling the claims false, far-fetched, and speculative.
Yeah, I would agree.
It's like how do you make fake streams on a company that's so big? Like how do you?
Well, I would imagine that it's not that the streams are fake, but that the promotion behind the song is what's driving more of the streams. So adding the additional promotion would then go to like the orchestration of trying to promote the song.
And so then Spotify responds. They said, quote, "It is not surprising that Spotify..." Drake's legal team fired back, saying, "It is surprising that Spotify is trying to distance themselves from UMG's allegedly manipulative practices to inflate the streaming numbers on behalf of one of the other artists." And so it basically was like, who are we going to go after? We're going to go after you. We're going to go after UMG. So like Drake, I can't make words. Drake dropped it. Drip drop, Erica Jane. January 14th.
He dropped the lawsuit?
He dropped legal action against UMG and Spotify.
Really? So he really didn't have a case. I mean, when you were reading it, I was like, these are some big allegations, but like it doesn't sound like he's going to have a strong case against them.
I think it's because he assumed he didn't have any way to prove for Spotify and the fake, streams or the manipulation of streams. So he dropped it. And so he did not, however, withdraw his Texas court filing against UMG and iHeart, which remained pending on January 14th. And so, as it turned out, today, the 15th, when we're recording this, he said, fuck all of it. I'm just going after UMG. He's like, listen.
Yeah.
He said, basically, UMG, you allowed this artist to put out something on the airwaves that is not true, that is slanderous. And so it's like, on a legal side, you can say that. But on a diss track music professional side, think of Nicki, think of like Black China, think of anybody who's done a diss track. You will throw out stuff and like, to be honest, you don't get too far. Like whoever starts a diss track, Drake.
Well, I'm just trying to understand. I mean, I don't understand music publishing from a legal perspective, but just thinking of like defamation lawsuits with celebrities and whatnot, I'm trying to think of like how he like it doesn't even sound like he has a strong I mean, the
Case.
only person I would think he would go after would be Kendrick because Kendrick is technically the one that's but then I don't know if it's different being that it's a song and it's like a published um like a published work. I don't know. I'm trying to I just you usually don't sue people for putting out songs. I mean,
You
it
don't
would
for
fall.
rap battles. Like you don't.
Yeah.
So he's officially suing UMG.
I'm
And so
assuming because they're the ones that own the song.
they're the ones that allowed the publishing to happen.
Yeah.
So like they basically said cool, and he's claiming that this is like you let this pass. But like we've had so many diss tracks, we've had
He's
so
not
many
gonna be
things
able,
come up.
yeah, I don't think he would be able to prove that. I mean, the same way like a celeb has a really hard time suing like a news publication for publishing something that a reporter wrote that a celebrity may feel is, you know, defamatory. I don't imagine that you can sue the publisher of a song for releasing a song with somebody else's words that they wrote. Like, I don't know. This sounds like a
Anyway,
silly
it's
lawsuit.
too much. I think the
He's-
only thing that might have some legal standing is the pedophilia accusations because we don't really have that in diss tracks. So everything else you can say, it seems like in music history, but we haven't had pedophilia claims come up as let's say viral as the diss track.
yeah.
So that was my timeline. That probably was way too long.
Fun.
You know, is it? But we have some other music news.
Yeah, we do.
Have you been picking up anything necessarily when it comes to music? Like anything you've been streaming?
I've just been streaming a lot of Heidi Montag. I've been going hard, but it's time to go harder. I needed an Erica Jane Heidi Montag collab. Like that's what we need.
I think that would work really well actually.
Yeah.
Like, give me that
Been
and let me
going
sit
hard, but it's time to
and go out with a
harder.
little drink in my hand. The thing is, Heidi Montag and Spencer have been doing a ton of interviews.
Yeah.
They've been doing Good Morning America, and then obviously like with the news, a lot of the music has been doing well. There are other people who have also been getting their streams picked up in a similar fashion, trying to help raise funds
Yeah.
for the people affected. And one of those is Flava Flav. Streaming.
I saw that.
Yeah, it was not my thought of who's coming out of the woodwork to stream, but Flava Flav has been streaming Leighton Meester's track with Robin Thicke.
I saw that. That's so okay. How much money do you make off of streaming songs? Like,
It's not
there's
a
not
lot.
a lot. So,
No.
like, even with all the streams that people are giving,
It comes down to radio plays and charting.
yeah,
That's like the real thing, but streams can help. Obviously, the unit sold, like that, hodgepodge of model we've now talked about.
yeah,
But even for Spotify streams and like Apple Music streams, like it is not as is the word frivolous I'm looking for,
yeah.
as it seems people would be cashing out
I
on.
mean, you're getting like what cents?
You can get like a couple thousand for the millions, or million streams, but it's not like boku bucks.
Yeah.
So it's like obviously there are people who have billions upon billions of streams, and like that is a different
Yeah,
threshold.
Taylor Swift,
Halsey,
Halsey.
we saw her here at Spotify.
We did. Oh, it was
Um,
actually at this Spotify. I mean, well, yeah, this
This
headquarters.
Yes, but the 2000 song "Somebody to Love" with Robin Thicke has been played. I don't know how many times by Flava Flav, but like you got to think about how many people are just listening over and over
Yeah,
again.
but yes, but what I learned from Spencer Pratt this week is that you can't put a song on repeat.
You can't.
No, well, I mean, yes, you can, but it doesn't count as multiple streams. it counts as only one stream if you're putting it on repeat. So he said what you have to do is put together a playlist with like 3 of the songs and then just keep those songs in repeat,
Oh.
and then that counts for every single play. It's a different stream, whereas if you just have one song and you put that one on repeat.
So, girls, if you're looking to make some noise for your fellow artists who have lost something in the fires,
Yeah.
make a playlist.
I
Make it
mean,
short.
You're gonna make
We'll make it
them-
long. There's a lot
You'll
of people
make
who have
them
been
a
affected.
couple bucks. It's not a ton of money, but
Still
I've been
something.
learning a lot from Spencer Pratt about streaming, and I've also seen that like all the other Hills co-stars have come out. Whitney Port was dancing, Lowe came out and was streaming it, and everyone's mad at Lauren Conrad because everyone's like, "Where's Lauren Conrad?" And then I was on TikTok today, and some girl was just like, "You guys need to leave that lady alone. That lady can't be bothered. Let her live her life. Like leave Lauren Conrad.
Leave Lauren Conrad.
Leave
You
that lady
can
alone."
leave.
But it was just funny because it's like this young girl on TikTok, and like to her, Lauren Conrad, who's like in her late 30s, like she's a lady, and I'm like, no, I
Lady.
grew up like I grew up with them. Lauren Conrad's not a lady, but
Oh
yeah,
my
she's a lady.
God. Is there any other music news you want to tee up before we go on?
I saw that Justin Bieber was teasing a potential comeback to music. Oh, we don't like him.
No, I'm just like, who
Speaking
asked?
of pedophilia,
What?
wasn't he like a victim of Diddy? Allegedly,
Allegedly. Um,
according to TikTok.
did anybody ask for Justin Bieber to come back to music? Like, did anybody vocally say, like, here is this announcement? Like, we're
I
all
think his fans probably did.
Show me the TikTok video.
I don't know. Well, a lot of people were like feeling bad for him because of all the Diddy stuff, and so now we see that he's unfollowed Scooter Braun
Mm-hmm.
and he's unfollowed Usher.
It's
And-
wild how that is now like the I have no ties to you signage these days. When you unfollow someone and you are a celeb status, you mean business. You
Mhm.
stand on business. You step on throats. And
Yeah.
like you are ending contracts, you are ending relationships. It's like
I always have to check when I see somebody pop up in my feed or on the stories. I always have to be like, "Oh, I haven't heard." I was like, "Oh, does this person still follow me?" Like I'm always
you check
expecting.
the little
I always have to check to see if they still follow me because I'm afraid people.
and then you find out they don't follow you anymore. And
Yeah,
you're
and then
like,
I'm like, "Bitch,"
I
and then
feel-
I unfollow.
then you're like, I don't feel as bad anymore.
Yeah, one of the guys that you slept with unfollowed me.
Okay.
It was you know who it is. I'm not gonna say his name.
Okay.
But
Sure.
He unfollowed me. He was fighting with me in the comments the other day, and then he unfollowed me. I think we talked about him the other day because you saw that I was going back and forth.
I do
He
recall.
unfollowed me, and I was like, "What a pussy."
Anyway, Justin.
He's coming back. Well, he's trying to. Well, people are making that up because I was looking at what they were looking at, and there was like an Instagram story that he posted, and in the Instagram story, it was like a really shitty song in the background, and he was just kind of like listening to it, and so people are assuming that this is maybe his teaser of a new song that's coming up. I think it's called Trippy.
Trippy, trippy, trippy.
It wasn't very good from the clip that I saw.
Okay, different. It could be sampling trippy.
Well, it was a sampling, but I was like, why are people like this? Is what they think is him putting out new music? I mean, it's possible.
It's
but we'll
possible.
see.
We didn't.
I'm sure Hailey Bieber's right there, like, let's go.
Let's go, honey.
Hmm.
She's like, we need to do something. And that music catalog being sold is great, but
And that's not a lot of money. It was only sold for what,
200
200,000?
million. 200 million.
Oh, 200 million.
Girl, that's a different figure.
How much is Baldoni suing for 400 million?
And so are you equating Justin Baldoni's lawsuit of like Justin Bieber sold his catalog for 200 million?
No, I'm just
Justin Baldoni 400 million. Which Justin should get more?
400 million is a lot to ask for.
I mean,
But again,
people know
considering
about it.
it ends with Us made over 200 million at the box office, you can argue that like the potential of, yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, well,
But we'll see what happens with the Biebs.
if Justin Bieber comes back to music, do you think that people will be receptive? Do you think he's going to be
Yeah.
performing?
I think he'll probably get more love now than he probably did before because now, people want to root for Justin. People, feel bad for him and they think that he was very much taken advantage of by this music industry that I think, if anything, people want to see him succeed and succeed on his own. Very similar to how Taylor Swift, when she parted ways with Scooter Braun and then she re-recorded her music, it only made
She
her...
never was with Scooter Braun.
Oh, sorry, but well, I mean when he bought her catalog, and there was all that drama between the two of them, that just made her more popular because then more people were like, "Oh, we see you as the underdog. We want to listen to the new music that you're putting out there. We want to support you." So I would imagine the same thing would happen with Justin Bieber, where they want to support him, especially with any new music that he puts out there, because it won't be attached to any of his previous representation.
I think the thing is, if Justin Bieber comes out with new music, let's say a new album, singles, whatever it may be, Justin's probably not going to be performing. He has had a couple times where he's canceled multiple dates, tours. And so one time I even had a ticket for his concert and we got refunded. But like any artist, obviously that's their decision. You make a lot of money on touring. That's where it really can be with merchandising and more. But Justin just might be wanting to creatively express himself more and get like his music out there that he's wanted to.
Yeah. Well, like Miley puts out new music and she doesn't tour.
Right, and that's their decision as artists not to tour. So sometimes if
and
you're
it's
in
working
that good place,
for her, she's doing just fine.
Yeah, some people don't need to tour. Like Miley's probably not at a place where she needs to tour. She does not like to tour either.
Yeah.
Same with Justin. He's probably like, look, like this isn't good for me to do this. Maybe like a few surprise performances, but not a full-fledged tour.
Yeah. I don't remember the last time Miley even went on tour.
It's been a minute. Fucking bangers.
Donna just texted me. She said, "Oh my God, Blake Lively was totally in love with Justin Baldoni." She's reading through the lawsuit right now. I'm telling you, the text messages are flirty. Where you're like, "Oh," she's like, "Oh, I'm breastfeeding. Do you want to suck my tit?"
She says
No,
that.
she doesn't say that.
Oh my
but I mean,
God,
it's
Zack.
of that. Oh, what's going on?
Nothing.
The lights went out.
The lights are still on.
No, the lights are dimming. The backlights went out.
No, they're still on.
The blush light behind you is out.
Oh, got it. Spotify. What happened? Aside from that, we do have some other. Do you want us to get our studio producer back in here to get your lights on?
I don't care.
Aside from that, right now we have a couple different things coming out for releases. You season 5 has officially gotten a notice on when it's coming out.
Come out already.
I know. I feel like we talked about this for a minute.
When does it come out?
You know, let me look that up.
Okay. You're like, they announced a date, and you're like, I don't know the date. I think it's in February. I think it's like February something. We'll
Hold,
see.
please.
Are you excited for a new season of You?
Here's the thing.
The last season sucked. That was with Lucas Gage, right? Yeah.
Yes.
That was the last season. It wasn't good because like the stories run out. Like there's no more. Like how many people is he going to put in the basement and then whack them? Like, you know.
So the final season comes out on April 24th.
Oh.
We have a little
And it's
while.
part 1 and 2, right?
Girl, I don't.
I think it's a part 1 and a part 2.
I mean, I
Which is
think
even-
Netflix is windowing that to get like a more buzz about specific titles. I kind of like what Traders is doing. For example, you give me 3 episodes.
Yeah.
You give me another 3 or another 1 or 2. Like that's fine because I think the press and the hype about it gets people talking about it more
Yeah.
and the online buzz. When we have the full season just binged, I get Netflix and chill, but like I want that hype. I miss that hype of like, have you watched the latest
weekly,
episode?
yeah, I like the weekly hype too. Well, who does it? Netflix does it with like The Circle. Well, they release 3 a week,
Mhm.
and then but I think with, are we talking about You? With You, well,
They had a part 1 and part 2. I'm not sure what they're gonna have for this. In
you know what
season
I'm waiting
5.
for from Netflix is Stranger Things. It's been like 5 years since the last season. 11 is like now 34. Like, can we get it together? Because I need the final season of Stranger Things.
I feel like that's how I feel with you. When you asked me
How
earlier,
about me?
am I excited for season 5 of You?
Yes.
You know what?
No.
I honestly will say it's been a minute. I can't tell you what happened last season.
I just remember he was like, what was it? He was in New York with like all the rich kids and the brother.
No, he was in London. Right?
Maybe I was lying. Well, I just know the last one was with Lucas Gage, and then I remember them being in the house, and then they kill somebody in the house. It's a whole because somebody. Oh,
Oh
because
wow, you just gave
he
away
gets-
every season they kill somebody.
Oh, shocker! No, the last season, somebody had caught on to him, and they were stalking him. That was
yep.
the last season. Is somebody was stalking him, and then I think he finds out who and kills somebody in the end. But yeah, I think this final season is about him being arrested from the promos that they've released. It looks like they finally have caught, what's his name? Joe?
Mhm.
Joe's been
Joe
caught.
Goldberg.
Joe Goldberg.
I think
Penn
that
Badgley. Blake Lively's ex before she left him for Ryan Reynolds.
Stop. I think the thing about shows is not that they're not good. It's that I have too long in between to remember what we doing right now.
Yeah.
Stranger Things, You.
Yeah, Stranger Things
Sex Lives
came
of
out.
College Girls.
Stranger Things came out in what, 2022?
Girl,
The
I can't
last
tell
season?
you. I cannot tell you.
And the way that it was split up, it was like split up into like only 3 episodes, and you got like 2, and then a month or 2 later you got another part. Like, it was just so weird the way they did the last season.
My confession is I've never watched Stranger Things.
Oh my god, it's I mean, it's good if like it was consistent, whereas like now there's
Like
been
you.
so many times I'm consistently bad.
And that's the social clip. Well, that's what's coming up in our docket. But aside from that, there is also a new Roku show with John Cena, which gives me Cars and Coffee vibes. And it's John Cena talking to people about their passions. And it's called What I Think Drives You.
How boring.
Would you watch?
No. You think I want to sit there and talk and listen to John Cena talk about what drives you?
Logan Paul and a few others are guests on the show, but I feel like this concept...
I like Logan Paul. I don't know much about him. I just know people don't like him, and that's why I like him.
You would.
He's just controversial, and I just like to ruffle people's feathers by saying that.
I think you just choose sometimes to just lay it all out there and be like, you know what, fuck it. Fuck everything.
I like to be a little contrarian sometimes.
I think you just like to go off the beaten path and be like, I don't want to go with the popular vote. I want to go with the less likely traveled route and make everyone's life harder.
Because it like ruffles their feathers, and then it like gets people like, I don't know, just like the dopamine in my brain. Oh, so much serotonin. I love it.
Mean Girl Behaviors 2004. Aside from that, we have our last story in here, maybe last 2, depending on how much we get into this. But our last bit of news we have involves Wendy Williams. Have you been keeping up with
The
Wendy
Kardashians.
Same, kind of. Wendy Williams obviously has been away for a while, and people have not gotten a chance to hear from her. Since the near end of her show, the cancellation, it was reported her health was not doing well.
Yeah.
And this is the first time ever we're hearing from Wendy Williams herself on the phone with the Breakfast Club saying that she feels like she's in jail right now. So did you get a chance to hear everything about like the Wendy?
I didn't listen to the full interview, but I listened to parts of it. And just, I don't know. I really do think she's not all there.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I
Okay.
mean, do you remember the docu-series they just did
So
with her?
I got a chance to read and listen through the interview. To give you the backstory, she was diagnosed with aphasia.
Yeah.
And
That's what Bruce Willis has, right?
yes. So aphasia basically is giving you a difficult time to remember specific things. She also has Graves' disease, which is an overproduction of thyroid.
Yeah.
So it can have dizziness, it can have like weight loss, it can have nausea, it can make your eyes like bulge a little bit. So like people have obviously noticed that
That's why
like
she looks
her
like
health, yeah. So it's unfortunate, but people have cited, okay, that's the reason she's going away necessarily. So at the end of the cancellation of her show, she was going through a lot of these health problems. And so it was put that Wells Fargo and some other entities somehow were able to say, we're going to freeze your assets because of the state of your health. And we're going to assign you a caregiver or a guardian. And so this entirety since 2022, 2023, we've had essentially Wendy Williams under a conservatorship. And so this is the first time we got a chance to hear from her calling in to the Breakfast Club, which it's strange. So you and I, like everybody else, have seen little pictures of Wendy and that's it. Like we don't get to see her when people go under conservatorships. Like it's very gridlock, right? Like we had Lindsay, we've had Amanda Bynes, like Brittany.
Lindsay was never under conservatorship.
She was with her parents at one point, right?
No.
Am I wrong? Okay.
I think you're thinking of Brittany and Amanda.
Got it. So with this call, Wendy just sounds so heartbroken, and she was with her niece. And so she described what has been the last while, and she says she's in a luxury prison with one window, a bed, a dresser, and a desk. She does not have access to her phone. So the fact we have this phone call is like very, very strange. It's very weird. And her guardian has access to her phone at all times. So when it comes to that documentary that was produced, that was towards the end of the show, that was what Wendy approved and signed off on. And so the people who have spoken about the documentary in these past few months and while, when we've questioned where Wendy was, they basically said, we were afraid to stop recording of what would happen to Wendy because she was being placed underneath, this conservatorship.
Yeah.
So this guardian has been taking what she is saying advantage of all of her money, all of her resources, and so much more, where she says everybody in this facility is 80, 70, 90s plus, and she's like, I can't do anything. I can't go to Sephora. I cannot go and buy like a fragrance. I cannot see my parents. And so she is like, I want to go to Miami. I want to be done. I want to like leave this facility. And her niece has been like, this is what it's been like for us for the past few years, trying to explain or like even discuss what the repercussions are going around this guardian, or even telling her story right now, because she is being placed underneath this.
And we don't even know who the guardian is, right?
They do actually have the guardian named. I need to check.
I remember in the docuseries, like they couldn't use his name, they wouldn't show his face, like they had no permission to show us who he was in the series. I don't know. I'm torn about this because I mean, it's like when somebody has Alzheimer's or dementia, they have these moments where they're really clear and they're really sharp. And then they have these other moments where they could be, very potentially damaging to themselves. But also at the same time, if you have like the niece that's capable of taking care of her, then there's no real reason Wendy should be under a conservatorship with somebody that, like, I don't know. It's
just weird how this like keeps happening with people specifically, and like the
Yeah.
bank assigned a caregiver. And the name of this person is actually a woman named Sabrina Morrissey.
Okay.
And so Morrissey alleged in late 2022 that Wendy Williams was like in an unconscious, like an unsound mind, leading to Wells Fargo to petition, literally the bank petitioned, to have her placed under the temporary financial guardianship. So now we're like 2-3 years into this and it's still in place. But that documentary, Wendy says that she and her guardian sat through, and no one is allowed to have visitors here at this facility. Her and the guardian went through and she was taking notes of like specifically what was taking place in the documentary, and where the money should be going, what should be happening, what should not be said. And so the guardian was like basically trying to take action on this, on the documentary, because Wendy signed off on it, but the guardian was like, this wasn't signed off on.
Yeah.
So it's like she watched it together. She was the one who wanted to do that, but she also claimed the situation that there's like emotional abuse, not even letting her have her phone, be even committed to
Yeah.
specific activities. But Wendy literally said in the interview, she's like, do I sound like I'm off? Like, I'm very coherent. She's like, I just want peace. I want to live my life. She's like, I feel like I'm in jail. It's sad. Like,
I don't know. I mean, I do think she's a little off, but I mean, that could also be due to meds. I mean, look at like Britney Spears. I think I did catch in the interview, I don't listen to the show often, so I don't know their names, but I remember the guy was like
Charlamagne
telling
the
her,
God. Yeah.
he was telling her, like, I was telling you, don't take the meds. When they give you medication, like, don't take it. And she's like, I know, you were telling me not to take it. And so, I mean, that could be part of, because, like, we have seen her out and about. Paparazzi have caught her coming in and out of her apartment, and her eyes are bulgy, and she seems a little out of it, and she's a little confused about where she's at sometimes. But, I mean, again, that could be influenced, that could be chemically induced with
Could also just be like
medication that
being
they
in that
have her
room.
on.
Can you imagine just being in one room?
Well, I think that's what broke Britney Spears, is she was so in this conservatorship where she had no, autonomy over her own life, and then she was drugged up for most of the time, that once they took those those railings away from her. Like, I don't think she was able to understand how to reacclimate into the world,
No,
because when you're
yeah.
put in this confinement for so long, like, it does weigh on you mentally.
Yeah, and it's just like in the quotes that I saw from tabloids picking this up and more, just to wrap this up, is she's like, I don't know the 7 pills I take every day.
Yeah.
She can't name them.
Yeah.
She doesn't know. And so it's like her family's like, we can take care of her. We can be her support. Have her come to Miami.
Yeah.
So if it's like, if the family's saying,
Yeah, if there's somebody
Yes.
capable of doing it and they actually care for her because they're blood relatives, then it's different. And that's why I do think that the conservatorship is alarming. At least with Britney Spears, you know, her father was the conservator. So there wasn't like people are like, oh, well, it's her dad, that it's family. Like
family.
it wasn't somebody outside. Obviously, we know the dad appeared to have been abusing, you know, her finances and, you know, to an extent abusing her as well with the power that he had over her. But you know, it's just it's unfortunate. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody loves Wendy. We loved her show, and
oh,
it's,
I miss it. I miss like, even some people I know when we like clap, like people are like, oh my God, the Wendy clap. I'm like, oh,
how
oh.
you doing?
how you doing?
Yeah.
She also talked about Diddy in the interview. She talked about a lot.
What does she say about Diddy?
That
Like,
Diddy
oh, I
had a
loved
role
his
in,
parties.
no, that he had a role in getting her fired from the radio show she was on because
Oh,
she knew
that's
about all
right.
this stuff. And
Oh,
so,
that's right. And she was always calling him gay.
yeah. And like, again, someone with sound mind, she's recollecting all these
Yeah.
things from the 90s still. And like, the 90s is now 30 years
Yeah.
ago. And so I would definitely say like, she needs to be reevaluated in some capacity.
Yeah, I don't like that whoever this person is that is she under conservatorship? That's
That's what it's titled
Um,
as.
yeah, whoever is in charge of her finances and in charge of her, I think is doing her a disservice by keeping her away and kind of just confining her, and that to me is alarming, because then it's like, well, what are the motives behind that?
Yeah. Well,
We'll have to wait and see, but we'll be back next week with more news.
oh my goodness, I know. Anything exciting coming for you up for you, good
I
sir?
can't wait to dive into this 127-page lawsuit tonight.
And you will see Zachary Peter up with another green screen video giving us everything we need to know. If you follow No Filter with Zach Peter, the Pop
Receipts,
Report, you will find
proof, timeline, screenshots, everything.
that coffee just took a beating from your wrist.
Mhm.
But obviously, if you love the Pop Report, find us. We obviously will be here for more, and we'll see you soon.
Yes. Subscribe, leave a review. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.